Alright, so in today's video, I thought we should do what we learned from the Seattle Sounders home opening match against Charlotte FC. Talking about the pros and cons from this game. Not to say there's a whole lot to discuss, but just kind of getting the ball rolling as the season started and seeing how this team looks going into the season. Of course, Brody and J-Ross did do their instant post-match review of the game because they were at it. I just watched the game this morning, so I thought to add a little bit more content out for you all talking about this match, I as well will do an at-home discussion on the game, the things that went really well and the things that cost us getting the 3 points in our home opener. If you're new to this channel and you're a big fan of MLS, but more specifically the Seattle Sounders, this is the channel that you need to be at because this is content for fans made by fans. So if you like that type of stuff, this is the channel that you need to be at. So make sure to subscribe. So now let's get into talking about this match. The Sounders started off the game pretty strong, which is what you want to see from the team that is hosting the home opener. Georgie Manungu, my boy Georgie, like I've been telling you all in so many videos, looked like an absolute menace in this game. He was putting Premier League captain center back Tim Ream on absolute skates that whole game, creating so many half chances, and he was able to break through with a dime cross to Jordan Morris, and he pretty much picks up from the end of last season, bagging the first goal of the MLS campaign for us. But then after we get that goal, we kind of let Charlotte settle in, which I don't think was the greatest idea. We started giving them life, and on a set piece, Reagan loses his marker, they get a goal, and I believe that ends up being their only shot the whole match. And that pretty much concludes the first half. Then going into the second half, Sounders again start off how they started the game, and we're on Charlotte's neck. Jordan Morris breaks the line, Albert Rusnak, our two favorite DPs, connecting for the second goal. And things are going pretty well for the Sounders. They keep piling on the pressure on Charlotte. Charlotte don't really know what to do, honestly, in this game. They looked quite toothless offensively. The only issue was the Sounders weren't able to create any clear-cut chances. I would say maybe Obed Vargas's chance was the next best clear chance we had in that game. And we just weren't able to put the game to bed. A lot of half chances, but the problem was for me, which is pretty much deja vu as last season, we weren't able to kill off the match. And I think that is what cost us this game. We weren't able to put the game to bed, even though we were dominating Charlotte and it didn't look like they were going to have any response in the game. Then late on, Jackson Reagan makes a mistake, we score an own goal, and it's just kind of like, wow, even though this game is a draw and we do get 1 point, it really feels like a loss. And it just kind of feels like a repeat of last season all over again in this game. Because we dominated the game, we scored a couple of goals, but then we conceded a couple of goals. That was kind of the theme of last season. When we play solid defensively, we just couldn't score any goals. Then when we could score a couple of goals, the defense was absolutely shambolic. And that is what we saw here tonight. And the worst part was Charlotte was able to come out of here with a draw, even though their new signing, Wilfred Zaha, didn't even travel nor played in this match because the soccer gods were on our side. So I was just like, okay, this is a huge golden ticket. They're not going to have Zaha. Alex Roldan will be A-okay. He's not going to be put on skates, but we still didn't even get the W when they were missing their best attacking player. I could not imagine if Zaha did play how things would have been a little bit different, because if they had a guy like what Georgie was for us that night, creating those half chances, taking Alex Roldan on, getting crosses in the box, building that offensive momentum in the game, I think it could have been a whole different story. Jordan Morris was able to get himself 2 goals. I think that's fantastic. I mean, I think that's something we can expect from Jordan Morris, especially now that he is a DP. He needs to be bagging goals. I think the big thing for him, and it's something I've constantly preached about and has been my biggest criticism about him, is being consistent, being able to score goals consistently throughout this 30-some game season we always have. So now can he continue this momentum? And that's what I'm hoping for, is can he keep scoring goals against Salt Lake and the games to continue in MLS and in the CCC? Because now he's a designated player. He's supposed to be the big boy. He has to be bagging goals. He has to be a big player for us. The other big plus from us was Georgie. I mean, my guy was absolutely cracked this game. Really just showing when he gets that start in a match, he gets isolated with a defender, he can be different gravy for us. I was so happy to see Georgie just being that guy for us in this game, being the difference maker. And I hope that's more to come. This is just the beginning. I mean, he showed in the game against Antigua midweek that he can make a difference difference for us. He starts this game too, made a difference for us. Back-to-back games with already assists. My guy is already cooking so far this season. So I think the biggest concern and the biggest talking point when it comes to players in this game was Jackson Reagan. And I've spoken about this in previous videos. Jackson Reagan, I think he's a good center back. But I and Brody and other people on the channel have brought up, he has games where he has absolute blunders. He gets away with a lot of mistakes that go unpunished. And in this game, he loses marker for the first goal, and something that isn't spoken about and isn't in the highlights of the game, I want to say maybe 10 minutes before we actually concede that goal, he gets caught kind of twiddling his thumb with the ball at his feet and gets lucky that the Charlotte attacker didn't steal it because it nicked back off his foot and went, I believe, to one of our players. He was able to pass it back out, but was literally a hair away from giving away the ball for a 1v1. And then eventually does give away the ball for the inevitable own goal. I'm not saying Reagan should be dropped, nothing like that. I think Reagan can still be a starter, but in my opinion, if you really want to polish out that defensive line, you need a guy that can be a brick like Mahrez, be consistent. I think Reagan is a perfect third choice option, kind of like what Javi was back when he first came into the team. And other great Sounders players that when they need to do a job as that third center back, I think Reagan can be that guy. But again, it's a long season, so I'm not going to beat on this horse. I still think Reagan should be a starter, but that is something I have brought up many times, how I do think Reagan is good, but I don't know if he is that starting level center back that can get you to winning MLS Cups, winning trophies, getting you to the promised land. But outside that, I think there was a fair amount of good positives. I think we played fairly well in the game, but our good old problems of not being able to kill off a game was what cost us again. And I hope we get these issues out of the way early on this season. It's too early to tell if we're going to still see that same repeat as 2024. I think one thing that was extremely refreshing was how we were able to bring on some legitimate depth off the bench to try to make a difference in this game. It'll hopefully help push and elevate our offense and have more options to score goals, create more opportunities to kill matches. So it was great to see we actually had people we could bring off the bench and actually make a difference and have viable options to call upon. It just sucks because we dropped points in a game we probably should have won, and I think a big emphasis I would have for this season is we need to collect as much points as possible. Do I think we'll win the Supporter Shield? Probably not, but I think a difference of 3, 4, 2 points is going to be the difference in the Western Conference, because I think it's going to be really tight. We've seen in years past, a difference of just 1 or 2 points is what makes you go from like second to fifth. So to not just drop points in silly matches where you could easily get the 3 points, I think it's crucial and it's important because I want to see us be able to host latter stage playoff games. So we'll just have to see what happens. My anticipation for the Antigua game is we play a pretty rotated lineup because I think that series has been put to bed. I'm not saying absolutely write them off and we have like some sort of a Olympia 2.0 situation in this tournament, but play a little bit of a rotated lineup. You can play some of the more B team players with some starting players, but I do think that tie is out of reach. I mean, 3 away goals, I don't see them coming back in that regard. And I think our main priority has to be the RSL away game. They got absolutely booty tickle butt waxed by the San Jose Earthquakes, which are a team that a lot of people think are going to be a big danger in the Western Conference. And I am interested to see how things will go when we do face off against them. But as we all know, Salt Lake is a place we cannot get a win for to save our lives. The last time we beat them in Salt Lake was in the playoffs in 2013, and it's even farther back if we're going to talk about in the MLS regular season. Do I think it will finally happen here? I don't think so, but I don't want us to lose this game. This is a team that is a wounded animal right now. If there is a good opportunity to finally make it happen, it could be right here and now in this next upcoming MLS match. This team got absolutely done diddled 4-0, but you could say on the other coin, they might be hungry to show up in their home opening match to get a win for their fans after losing so badly. So we'll have to see what happens. We're going to have to be on our A game for that match against Real Salt Lake. I think that's the main priority compared to the game against Antigua because, as I said, I think that game's wraps. We need to go out in that Salt Lake game, make a statement, try to get a win. I don't think a draw is a bad thing. Looking at it right now, I would probably take a draw on paper. But hey, let's shoot for the stars and land on the moon. Let's get the W in Salt Lake. Boys and girls, let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. Do you agree with me, disagree with me? Any additional thoughts you have of the match against Charlotte? Let me know your guys' thoughts, and boys and girls, I hope you'll have a lovely day.